All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for coming, and obviously we are really looking forward to what's out ahead in regards to our trip going to Taiwan. Our summer has been extremely busy but very productive. Under these new guidelines, we can have unlimited practices. Our preparation this summer has been unlike any summer we've ever had, but I'm really excited given a young team with the graduation of Shatori and Bree, fostering in a lot of new players, a freshman point guard who has taken the reins and has done a tremendous job with Shanice Lewis. So this international competition for us is going to be a tremendous head start for us going into the following season.
What's it been like, I guess, because you still want to give them kind of a little summer. I mean, how do you balance that with, you got to get ready to represent the USA and yourself for the season? Is that a tough balance?
Yeah, and I'm really big on balance. And I don't want this to feel like one continuous long season when you talk about going into our upcoming season with 10 players. We've added a player to our roster, which we'll talk about a little later, Tori Jankowska from Michigan State, for the depth for this tournament. But we've been very smart in terms of the length of our practices, making sure we're in shape. We just gave them the last weekend, a long weekend off going into this. When we come back, they'll have 2 weeks off before we go into the fall and the season. So that balance is huge in terms of staying healthy, and we're in better shape right now than we've ever been in the summer, which we have to be, but just being really smart about what's out ahead.
Coach, when you last talked to you, you were getting the team ready to play international basketball rules. How's that been, getting them ready to go, and are they ready to go with those different rules you're going to play with?
They are. We have 3 scrimmages planned this weekend. We have 2 friendlies when we get over there between Taipei and Australia to be able to get us ready. I think the biggest adjustment for us has been the reset of the shot clock. It's a 14-second reset we've been doing all summer, and 8-second backboard. So those 2 adjustments, there's more, but I think moving to the quarters and some of the FIBA rules that the women's game went to last year kind of gave us an advantage that is going to prepare us for out ahead.
Coach, what does it mean to represent your country? This is a pretty big deal.
It's, we understand that this is bigger than us, and obviously we're extremely proud about representing Maryland, but it's also about representing the United States and our country, and going over internationally. So we're honored, we're humbled, and we take great responsibility in terms of wanting to go over there being the most prepared team as possible.
Brenda, your players have been talking about how this summer let them settle into new roles a little bit. How's that progress going, and will the new roles that they have be the same during the season, or is there any kind of shifts you're expecting just because of international players?
Yeah, I think the quicker reset of the shot clock and the more possessions is obviously going to help us moving forward. We have to score the basketball, get more shots up, so that's all great things that are going to help us moving forward. We have players that have been patiently waiting their turn behind Shatori and Bree, and so when you talk about a Brenda Frese right now, some of the things she's doing, I'm really excited for going into her junior year. Aisha Small and Kristen Conroy as seniors have done a phenomenal job leading us. And I can't say enough for Kala Charles. I mean, she's probably our biggest, alpha dog, dominant player when you talk about that jump that she's making right now with the ownership of this team. So some really great things for us to be able to move forward with.
Coach, is this trip kind of serving its way to come together after losing a lot of players?
It is. I think you can't simulate this kind of international competition that we're gonna face. Environments where they're gonna be against us. When you talk about, the different types of teams and styles, and yes, going into who's going to be our go-to scorer, who's going to be someone who stops, gets great stops on the defensive end for us. So I think we're going to learn a ton about our team, which will prepare us for the upcoming season.
How are the scouting reports rather on these other teams that you'll be facing?
Well, it's really difficult. I mean, we've tried to go out ahead and get scouts and that, and rosters haven't, you can't get rosters. So it's more going to be like, once you get out there and the preparation that you're going to be doing when in game, next game, late night. But I know we'll be the most prepared team.
Coach, for you, you're coaching your team and representing the United States. As a coach, is it easier to go that way, or is it easier, you would get an all-star team with maybe one of your players and 11 from other players? What's that like?
That's a great question. Because normally they do field it with a bunch of all-stars, but they don't get as many practice slots. They come together, they might get 6 or 7 days, which is how most teams are going to be formed, but it's the elite of the elite. I do think we have an advantage having been able to put so many practices and defenses and offenses to prepare us for what's out ahead. And I think obviously for our program, it's a huge advantage to be able to take a team to be able to go over there.
How did this come to be? How did they approach you, or how did this, and were there any trepidations about it also, or kind of like, I'm not sure this is exactly what, it's so different and new?
Yes, yeah. Well, we knew about it a few years ago when Brianna Jones was selected on the All-Star team with the World University Games, and actually at that time the Kansas men were selected as a collegiate team. And so that was the first time I kind of understood that they were taking collegiate teams. On the women's side, we're only the second team ever selected. So it has been very unique for the women's side to take place. But we received the phone call asking us if we would want to represent Team USA, and going over and representing between, you can field a roster of 12 players. Obviously with some of our departures this offseason, our roster only being down to 10. Eliana Kristinaki, who is from Greece, cannot participate in it because she's not American. So we added Tori Jankowska, who, if you are in that range, you've graduated, obviously she's a pro, it gives us an added ball handler for a freshman point guard as well as a scorer. So an additional player that we've added will fill the roster of 11.
Coach, you guys are going to Taiwan. Not exactly the most stable region of the world right now with North Korea. Any concerns about safety going over there?
No, our administration does a tremendous job in terms of, obviously following it and understanding and putting us in the best position possible. I know last year when we were fortunate to go to Italy, there were some different things going on, and we never felt unsafe in terms of where we were at and what we were doing.
Lessons learned from last year's trip to Italy that has helped you prepare this team this summer?
Yeah, obviously the team building and bonding that you get, you can't, to be able to have in that amount of time. This time it's 2 weeks. And then, the competition. I mean, we faced a really tough opponent last year in Italy. It's a lot more physical and how the style of play and the game is set. So we're going to get a lot of games when you talk about all these different types of teams that we'll be playing to prepare us and get ready.
With the flag on your chest there, you look over and see your players wearing USA there. What are the emotions that come along with that?
They look beautiful, don't they? It is. I mean, it's a tremendous honor. I mean, something that when you talk about putting that uniform on and everything it represents for us, it's more than just that player. It's more than just our team. It's our country. And so I can't think of a better group that I would want to go over with when you talk about how many sacrifices this team has made, the work that they've put in to be prepared. I know they're going in with the utmost confidence, and they do understand that it's bigger than them, and this is the right team to go over with that understands that responsibility.
Brianna was here when you guys found out last year, and I guess I've seen her a little bit throughout the summer. What has she shared that's maybe helped, or any stories that she's given, advice?
Yeah, I mean, she talked a lot of experiences, how cool it was, the Olympic Village, when you're housed there with all the athletes from all the different sports and the time that you're in. It's obviously going to be different, in terms of style of play, the competition, and obviously time change and 15-hour flight going over, but just adapting to the conditions, being uncomfortable and adapting to the conditions, which I know they'll do a great job with.
You talked about the leadership with Aisha and Kristen. What's it been like having Melina back in the fold? Any type of impact that she's had before?
Just her voice. I mean, they can all tell you that Melina is a very vocal, energetic player that you're always going to feel her presence. So she's doing some tremendous things for us from the defensive end. I mean, she just keeps us all in place, on the same page. I mean, obviously she's a winner through and through. So many great things we can continue to keep picking up from with her leadership.